So thank you so much for having me here. My name is Amit Sharma. I'm co-founder and CEO for Trinamix. Before becoming CEO for Trinamix and before coming to US, I had all my upbringing in India. I'm born in India, grew up in India, and have actually lived through different walks of life, that you typically imagine. So I did my engineering from Indore, from GSITS, and I did my MBA from IIM Mumbai. And from there, I was recruited to work in the US in supply chain area. And in 2009, we started this organization called Trinamix to do the best in the industry and also to leverage everything that we have studied in our colleges. So we started this organization, and today we are a team of more than 1,000 people with more than 800 people in India. And I'm working and serving the organization as CEO of Trinamix. Yeah, so I mean, the concept of karma has become universal now, and it was always there as we grew up. From very beginning, I followed the concepts of Gita, and actually, when I was in engineering, when I was in second year, third year, somebody gifted me a copy of Gita, and before that, I literally had no idea beyond what I was taught by my parents. But in second year of my engineering, I had a chance to really read it and understand the concept of that. And in there, the second, third, and fourth chapters of Gita are dedicated for karma and vikarma as the concepts. So they explained the concept of karma, and it touched me. And since then, I feel that I have tried to live, following the rules of what I learned, and greatly recognize and appreciated the concept that what goes around comes around, and I've made sure that, again, not saying that I was able to always do that, but try to follow the concept so that I can do the right things to make sure that we give and expect the right thing in return. So in today's corporate world, and not only today, which has always been the case, right? So when you're running the business, you're dealing with your suppliers, you're dealing with your customers, you're dealing with your employers and also employees, and also dealing with your partners. So you're dealing with a bigger ecosystem. So every step of the way, when you choose your partners or when you hire the employees or when you bid for getting new business, you have the opportunity to compromise on your ethics, compromise on your values. So every step of the way, when you do decision making, you have an option of applying the concept of karma. And I would not say that it is very strictly follow across the organization, but as an organization we promote the idea of value. We are a value-based organization, so we have our ethics and principle defined across all walks of the aspects of the business. So when we hire people, we make sure that we are fair and we are not doing partiality. We are not giving somebody undue advantage or benefit. Similarly, when we work with the customers, when we go for new business, we don't close the business on golf course. We don't close the business on beer bars. We actually close the business in conference room. We win the business based on our merit, based on our ability to solve customer problems, right? And same thing happens when we choose partners, and we also choose the customers. So we always make sure that we do the right thing and we live by the values. And again, you would hear that concept in a lot of Western books also. Not sure, and when I was in business schools, one of the books that we were asked to read was Born to Win. And it followed the same concept, that companies that stayed through the test of time, companies that were successful for 100 plus years, always had one thing in common, that was value. Most of these companies stood for values and ethics, and they made follow that no matter what. So we try to do the same thing. We started the organization to deliver the best for our customers in whatever capacity it's possible, and try to be following the general guideline and standards of ethics, at the same time following the values that are important to us. And we try our best to make sure that it's followed by every employee. So the concept of dharma and karma is kind of fixed now, especially when you look at a lot of literature that you would see in US. Karma has now widely adopted concept, and what we call dharma is now considered karma in most, most of the books and the stuff that you find on the internet. So so you would see you see the CEO of Google talk or CEO of Microsoft talk. You would see a lot of influence of karma and dharma there, just because they came from Indian background. But even if you talk to, let's say, people who are not from Indian background, you hear the interview of Mark Zuckerberg, you would see them also talking about the core principles of karma there. So it's now a widely adopted concept as such, and it affects everything. It affects all the decisions you make. So some of the things that we try to follow is, one, we think that our country, our background, our community had given us so much, so we follow the concept of giving back to our country back, so that we from the very beginning utilized as a concept. So even though we started the organization in the US, we wanted to make sure that we open an offshore center in India. So we, whenever it was possible, earliest possible, we started operation in India. And one of the big things that we had in our mind, not only to make profit out of India, but also give back to our community, to give employment to people who helped us succeed here, to go back to our colleges and alma maters who actually allowed us to come here. So we are, I'm not sure if you know the fact, but we are one of the largest employers of, from IIM Mumbai. That's my institute. So we made it a point that we follow the dharma of giving back to them. So right now we have 40 plus employees within our organization from IIM Mumbai, and that is second largest in the world. There is no other organization that has more people from IIM Mumbai. So that was one part. Also giving back to community. So when we run our operations in India, we followed some of the concepts that are generally not followed. So in terms of providing the benefits, providing, the return to employees, also taking care of, in terms of insurance and other areas, we came up some very creative plans, and we made sure that we are able to pass the maximum to employees. So that is to, let's say, country and also to the employees. At the same time, when we work in a customer ecosystem, we never follow the practices by which we win the business by following maybe an unethical process where we are maybe able to make an undue advantage of situation from the customer. So again, we make sure that we are very, very fair, and we are able to distribute, in terms of financial benefit or anything else. We are able to share, even when sometimes things happen that there are things, wrong from our side, and we are sometimes able to provide discounts to the customers. We are able to give things for free in return of that. So we, in each case, we want to, stick to our standards and ethics so that they are not compromised no matter what. Yeah. So one thing, again, even though that's not explicitly stated, I strongly believe, since since I got familiar with Gita, there is a concept of swadharma. So swadharma is considered something that naturally comes to you. So when you are given the responsibility, the place where you stand, and you have a natural responsibility to follow, then Gita says, the Indian philosophy says, that do not turn your back to it. When it is swadharma, you have to follow that. You have to follow that. You have to deliver that. And then people also say that when you perform the swadharma, think that you are actually serving, to the highest level. You're serving Krishna. You're serving God. Then, the load or the burden of doing that effort, kind of goes away. So this is something I personally experienced, through my education days and through, early part of my career. That's a great question. I mean, I think maybe that's the summary of almost everything we discussed. So number one, I mean, I would say some of these principles are very, universal now. If you go and read Jack Welch, you will find there the same concept. If you go and read, Born to Win, or if you read any new management book, you say, if you even look at the tagline that Google uses, do no evil, right? It's all now originated from the same concept. So the concepts are everywhere. So it's a huge opportunity for us from Indian background to look back and find that in a small compendium, and then look from there, and whatever we can learn, utilize that for rest of your life.